Hello?
Hey Hariram, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, how are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. All right, so we are meeting for this interview session for the profile of a lead software development engineer, right?
Yeah,
All right, let me explain you the format for this interview. This is going to be 1 hour of session where I'll be asking you questions on Spring Boot, and Java fundamentals. Okay,
okay.
these questions will be a mix of theory and coding. So you will also be expected to code, and for that a code editor would be available within the app on which you would can change the language to Java and write your code and execute as well.
Okay.
All right,
Yeah.
let's get started then. Okay, I hope you can access the code editor.
Yes, I can
All right, you
access.
can, yeah, you can change the language to Java. All right, the first question is, can you explain the difference between the classes string builder and string buffer? The question will show up on the screen as well under the problem statement.
Okay. Okay. String builder. So this is like you're asking the string builder and string buffer. Okay. So I just want to
String
explain the
builder and
difference.
string buffer, all three.
Um, yeah. So I would say like string buffer and string builder. The main difference would be like the thread safe functionality, where the string buffer would be the synchronized. It will be synchronized, and string builder doesn't use us synchronization. um, uh, String builder, string buffer. Okay, yeah. So and I like when to use, like we can use it like let's say if string buffer if there is a situation where like multi-threaded environment, we use string buffer. And for example, let's say if there is, we are going to change anything, the value which is going to be executed or inserted in DB, like we can use string buffer where multiple threads access to the same execution or tasks. That's where we use string buffer, I would say. And string builder with the vice versa, like with single threaded application, we would suggest to use the string builder.
Okay. Can you give me a practical use case or a scenario where string buffer can be used or you have used before?
Um, uh, a string buffer, let's say if there is when the user wants to update his name in an application, but his name is be fetched from the DB based on his, let's say, his other card or PAN card. At that scenario, the entered name will be altered based on the PAN card details which we have. So in this scenario, I would say we can use a string buffer where it could be more effective.
So where in this scenario you see the issue of thread safety coming to help?
For trade safety, yeah, if let's say if the input which we have got from the user, and we would be invoking another thread in this scenario where we will be communicating with, if any scenario, like we will be communicating with some other vendor, where because we don't store the PAN details in our database, right? According, like we are not allowed to store. So in that scenario, we will be waiting for the response from the specific vendor or the external party. At that time, we will make the main thread to wait, and the second thread will be updating its name. So at this scenario, we can, I guess, this could be more useful.
Hmm. Okay. Can you write a piece of code to prove that string is immutable? Because I am claiming that string is mutable. So you have to prove otherwise, but not through explanation, but through a piece of code and execute it to prove that.
Um, okay. Uh, I will. Okay. Um, mm, let's say if I have here, they have some all those things. Say something which we have like and yeah, I would say if I'm using the functionality of concatenating the string with some other string. Let's say if I'm just using my name here and yeah. Oh, okay. So sorry, I'm seeing the error at the first line. I can see the output is printing in the downside. So where I'm trying to concat the string, and it's like we can see the output where I can see only the first name which I have added. So this is how we can say it's immutable.
But here you are not even trying to change ST. You have just concatenated, but you have not. If I make this change and then run the code, then see it is changed. You did not even attempt to change it. So why will it change? Only when you assign the output, then it will be changed, right?
Uh, You mean to say if like I mean the values, let's say the initially we have assigned a specific value, but I guess the value which are trying to if there is any the concept of immutability is like, let's say the specific variable we are trying to change does not allow because I mean it uses the same space, right? So let's say if we are reassigning the different value in that scenario, it could be definitely changed, but the existing value of a
But
string will
how
not
how
change.
are you how are you proving it in this piece of code? The original piece that you wrote, st.concat. Why were you expecting st to be modified here?
uh, you're expecting to explain any scenario, or is there any
So this is what
I
the
mean,
original code you wrote, right?
yes.
What were you trying to do here?
No, I'm just trying to, you know, I have assigned a value on this variable, and I'm trying
Hmm.
to update the string without any other extra variable, or the same variable. I'm trying to update the value, or I'm going to add another piece of letter or any other value to it. In that time, it doesn't allow us.
But it allows.
Uh, I mean, like this part, this Hariram, which you have run the code at the end, right? I mean, like you
Hmm.
have changed it any.
Now you have rerun it, right? It is printing
Yeah,
hurry.
yeah,
Yeah.
yes. I
But you are
mean,
not
like,
assigning the dot concat will not make a change to st. It will only once you assign it back, it will produce an output for a temporary string. It will never attempt to modify st.
I
And
mean,
that is why I changed it to st is equal to st.concat ram. And now if you see, it will allow that modification. So how are you proving that this is immutable?
Let's say if I am mm, it's like we can say that it is immutable in such a way, like it creates only it creates a new object, right? It doesn't mean like the value is changing, and the modification happens only to a specific value. But in this scenario, I would say like it assigns only one object at a time. I mean, the string assigns only one object, and the value will not be reassigned. That's what its immutable is all about. For
But how are you
the
proving that? You are only explaining that, but your code is not proving that.
um, let's say if okay, if let's say if I have 1 and ST2, and here if I can print this uh, okay, this is SDE concat. If I'm using this kind of thing, let's see if I'm having this. So here in this scenario, I have tried to change it with uh, like the same variable as you have said, and it is using the same object. I'm a little confused here. Sorry, wait just a second. I'm assigning this value here, and the question is ST2. ST value is Hari here. Yeah, so here in this scenario, I guess for the ST value, I have just changed my, I mean, I have assigned initially Hari, and then I am I am trying to add another word, which is st equals to, I have added the another string here. And in that scenario, I am trying to, and I am assigning it to the second string. But here you can see that the first value Hari is getting printed in the string 2 as well.
Correct.
So I hope this will, yeah, I think this
Correct.
should be.
Exactly. This is where you are proving that string is immutable, because st2 was pointing to the original reference, and after st was pointing, st2 is still unchanged. Right. So that is a correct proof. through code that yes, string is immutable. Okay, next question. This is based on your object-oriented programming concepts understanding. You have to
Okay.
design and code a bank account class with object-oriented programming concepts in mind. Okay, the focus should be on designing the bank account class as per the OOPS concept and implementing the core operations like deposit money, withdraw money, and check balance. Okay, make sure these operations are completed or implemented end to end with all the core validations and boundary and edge cases handled. Okay, this is going to be an in-memory implementation. Don't worry about database or APIs, just a core console program basically, so to speak. And you have to make sure it is thread safe. Okay,
Thread safe. Yeah.
yeah, you have to execute, write that and then execute it. Okay, I'll give you exactly 15 minutes for this.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Sure.
so just focus on the ask.
So
You can
I'll
remove
just.
all the other code.
So here, I can create multiple classes at the same. I mean, same editor, right? Is there any way, like in Eclipse, where I can create classes, or I can use the same code to create
you
multiple?
you should ideally be creating one class and then invoking it from your main, from the class solution, which is your main method, but up to you how you want to do it.
Okay, I mean to say, let's say if I am having a, I can create a class here and I can refer it to the solution class. That's what you're saying, right?
Yeah, I cannot give more details to you now. It is up to your
Yeah,
understanding and
sure,
implementation.
sure, sure. So code a bank account class with the underlying core operations like deposit. So I'll use only one class here. So bank account would be my class as here, and yeah, and I can have. I can have see account number. I can have like since the withdraw and deposit options will be taking place, I can have some balance of that specific user, I could say. Um, account and yeah, so I would use it as private here. Okay, and you have asked me to check balance using. So since you have asked deposits, I'll use deposit here, and I would uh, yeah, before that. Just initializing here and mm, if let's say the amount of the value it has to, if it is greater than 0, we would say it can. Mm, yeah, I will just inform that. Mm, please enter a greater amount, something like that. Mm, if interface and operations. Mm, uh, if
Okay, one more minute, huh?
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. So you said just 1 more minute left, right? I mean,
Yes.
I was thinking you asked me to hold for a second. Sorry, just
No,
got.
no, no, no. 1 more minute left. Just a
Yeah,
time
yeah, yeah,
check.
sure. Okay, okay. Um, so to make this, sure, as a class is thread safe.
Just quickly check if all your requirements are met or not. Core operations, implementation end-to-end, threat safety, all the validations taken care of.
Yeah,
Object-oriented programming concepts, I think by now you had already applied.
yeah, yeah. I think thread safe. How to make this class as a thread safe alone? I will just thread safe. I think we have made this as
Yeah.
private here string, and then in order to make, let's say, mm, so we can just make a class as a thread safe. Like we can, let's say, if bank account withdraw, we'll just make sure that just use this synchronized method, and then I will um, maybe I can make sure that this alone in a synchronized block if we can just think about it and I mean no need here withdraw. Mm,
Okay. You're done? Your time is up.
yeah, so if I can just create multiple threads
You
like
don't have to create
during
multiple threads. Just make sure you demonstrate that your class is working by taking a suitable test case. I'll give you 1 minute for that. Huh? You don't have to create multiple threads. Just make sure your code is executing well. Just demonstrate it by running at least one happy test case and one negative. That's it.
Okay, so just make sure that it has to be executed as well. Mm,
Okay, I think you'll be severely short of time if you take any more time on this question. You'll not be even left with time for to even take on other questions.
okay,
Okay,
I'm
let me
just
see what you have done here. Scanner. What is this scanner?
just getting input from the console. That's what.
I think you should not have wasted time on these things. The question was to apply object-oriented programming concepts. That's it.
Uh, yeah, I thought like while executing, I just wanted to execute by in
You can
by
initialize. I told you, right? You can always invoke your class from the main method. Okay, your choice of data type is wrong here. You have taken integer, so I cannot use decimal
I
here.
can use.
When you go to your bank account, do they force you to withdraw only in integers?
No, no, it has to be. It should have been double actually. Yeah, I should have gone
Exactly.
for
So
double.
these are the things you have to focus on, not on the secondary things like how you are accepting inputs and output.
Yeah, actually, I
The
just
your
wanted to.
core, yeah, your
Since you.
core design elements are these, how you are designing it, not how you are taking as input.
Yeah, understood.
Yeah. See your withdraw method. Can you withdraw more money than your balance?
Uh,
That is the core validation. I don't know what is the point of writing line number 59, limit is 1000. What is the point of enforcing a limit if you are letting the user withdraw more money than the balance?
I don't know. I just wanted to make sure that there would be some limit for per day or per week or something like that.
Correct.
Just
But
wanted to, yeah,
what about stopping the user from withdrawing more than he has balance?
yeah. I should have made some check as well.
That
Yeah,
is the core thing. Yeah, that is the core thing. This limit is not important, but letting the user withdraw more money than he has balance, that is more important thing, right? You have to focus on the core things, not on the secondary things, right?
yeah, understood.
All right. So see, this is what so you actually wasted 20 minutes on doing things that are not even required while not focusing on the core things. And then you spend 20 minutes on this. That is the problem. Okay, you have to be fast on the remaining questions if you want to still cover all the questions here. If you
Sure.
don't know, just simply say. You have to explain the difference between the implementation of array list and linked list.
Yeah. So the array list is basically like, let's say if we have, um, just give me a second. Like, is that linked list? Okay. So basically, array list uses an array concept here. Uh, if in case of linked list, it uses like concepts of uh, linked list, doubly linked list concepts there, and let's say the use case of accessing frequent access in that scenario we could use for array list, and then if in case of frequent insertions of any data or handling the data, we could go for linked list there. uh, uh, um, so these are the basic difference. Apart from that, I
So
would say array list would be.
how are the two implemented behind the under the hood? How are they different from each other structurally?
Yeah, it's basically it is implemented based on the dynamic array concept here in the array list, where the linked
Hmm.
list prefers. I mean, they use the doubly linked list. Based on doubly linked list, the linked list is being designed, and in base of performance as well, I would say execution of array list execution of array list would be less space or less memory when compared to linked list, because it uses doubly linked list where it allocates more memory for the execution part.
Why? Because I was told array list is fixed. So in case you need more space, it will allocate more space, while linked list will only have the space that you need.
No, no. What I meant was the fixed. So that's why if it is fixed, that's why it is using of less memory space. I'm generally mentioning to referring to that.
Why it is less memory space? Because as much per my understanding, even before it gets completely filled, it allocates double the size to accept more records. So if there is an array list which is of fixed length, say 20, and as soon as it reaches limit of 15 or 16, then it allocates a array of 40 size, doubles the size. That is my understanding or knowledge.
Uh,
So
but
that is wastage
in
of
case,
space.
no, in terms of, but for linked list, let's say if you have the elements is getting stored, and since it's uses the internal function of doubly linked list, it has to be pointing out to the references based on the next node and the start node, previous nodes. So in that scenarios, I would say like linked list consumes more memory when compared to array list, because it uses the dynamic, I mean, it uses the array concept internally, but for linked list, it uses the doubly linked list concept of
Go and
execution.
okay, after the interview, maybe you can check, write a linked list and an array list and see how much memory they are taking up. I think you'll be surprised to know that linked list is a lot more optimized in terms of space complexity.
Uh, Memory usage is what I referred actually. Memory
Same,
usage.
I'm also referring to the same
Sure.
space
I,
complexity. Yeah, space complexity is memory usage only. Okay, I have a very large set of customer records where every customer record consists of a unique customer ID and customer information.
Mhm.
And I have to make sure my retrieval operation is optimized, as in get customer info by customer ID operation is fast. What kind of a data structure would you suggest me to do this?
So the customer look, I mean, the retrieval of data should be faster. Based on two fields, customer ID and customer info. Let's say, since you are using customer ID would be unique, I would say we can go for hash map. Here we have the customer ID would be mapped against the customer data. So we would say, if in case of thread safe environment, I would say we can go for concurrent hash map. But for this scenario, I would say we can go for hash map, where the retrieval time would be lesser based on the ID.
Mhm. So what is the time complexity for a retrieval operation in case of hash map?
O of 1.
O of 1. Okay, so doesn't matter if I have 10 records or 10,000 records, time to retrieve would be more or less same.
Same, yeah, yes.
Okay,
Because,
what if I
yeah.
change the requirement? What if I change the requirement that now those records also have to be stored in an ascending order of their customer IDs or unique IDs?
Sorry, please come again. It has to be in the ascending order. It has to be in any order. That's what you're referring to.
So now the additional requirement is the records have to be stored in the ascending order of their unique IDs.
I think we can go for the linked hash map, where it maintains the insertion orders, or if yeah, I could say we could go for the uh, linked hash map in that scenario, or we can go for, or we can go for tree map as well, but the complexity would be, I guess it would be more when compared to the hash map, because it goes for yeah, I would say linked hash map should be fine in order to maintain the orders.
Linked hash map, huh?
Yes.
What is the time complexity for that retrieval?
Linked hash map is, it's same, one O of 1.
And you are sure you'll be able to keep your records in a sorted order of the IDs?
I'm saying, like, let's say it could be maintaining the insertion order. It would be maintaining the insertion order.
You don't have to maintain the insertion order. You have to maintain the ascending order of their IDs.
I would say then tree map, but it would be, the complexity would be less.
Correct, but you have to still follow the requirement, right?
Tree map. Since I was focusing on the efficiency of that, I was just
Okay, have
suggesting.
you worked on ORM frameworks?
Sorry.
ORM?
Uh, Sorry, no,
Have
I have
you
not.
have you worked on any ORM frameworks?
ORM frameworks. Oh, sorry. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've worked on Hibernate, JPA. We have used JPA.
Okay, can you help me understand the scenarios, and very specifically, under what scenarios would you use native SQL queries instead of Hibernate generated queries?
Uh, in our scenario, like let's say we have been using native SQL queries using JDBC templates. For Hibernate, let's say if we are using JPA and where we are using the question is to use. I mean, the question is getting printed here, right? This is what the question, right? You're using Hibernate query to use.
Question is explicitly under what scenarios would you use native SQL query instead of Hibernate generated query?
Uh, okay. Where we can use the native SQL queries is that. Mm, uh, let's say if we are using JDBC connectivity connections or JPA connections, we would use the native queries there, um, uh, where we would. Um, yeah, so for using native query while we are in a uh, requirement where we need to use the JPA or JDBC templates, I would say we can go for native queries. Or you're asking about the data sets example to be given, or
I'm
specific to
just asking about scenarios. What scenarios will make you use or rely on native SQL queries instead of
scenarios for
Hibernate
native.
generated queries?
Um, um, let's say if there is a requirement of um, so let's say if I have transaction history page to be displayed, and where I have to use where conditions, but the transaction history page has to be displayed based on multiple fund transfers. For example, it could be bill payments, it could be for IMPS or NEFT. I want to display all the transaction types in the transaction history page. In that scenario, I would use joins and where conditions. Uh, so here I would use native query in this scenario.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Or if is there any specific job which, let's say if I'm running a SQL, if I'm running a cron job where I have to update the scheduled transfers status every 12 a.m. or something like that, where more data sets would be updated. There I would use SQL queries, native queries there, in order to execute the operation. And yeah, so these would be the scenarios where I could use the native SQLs.
Mm-hmm. All right. What is the difference between eager fetching and lazy fetching mode of operations in Hibernate?
Um, I'm sorry, like I have to. I'm not sure about the concept. I mean, uh, that much strong in this. I mean, I'm not able to recollect it. Um,
Okay.
Currently, see fetching.
All right. Can you write a controller class for an order processing API using Spring Boot concepts? Just basically the REST API with the core CRUD operations. You don't have to write any service layer of business logic. Just write me the controller class.
Controller class for a Spring Boot. Spring
For an
Boot
order
concept.
processing API, yeah. Using Spring Boot features.
Order processing means you are referring to any order.
Just a scenario I took, order processing API, which will have methods like get order, update order, create order.
Okay.
That.
Okay. I'll just go with one controller class. Okay, here is the question. I was not saying that. Okay, controller class. Um, s- uh, mm, okay, I'll just I'll just let's say. Mm, mm, okay. I would say I can use list controller. So let's say if I'm defining an API of endpoint having syntax is something which uh, mm, so yeah, uh, this is the basic where I have used the annotations of uh, Spring Boot where risk controller. I'm based on the API endpoint. I'm having the values for update order, get order, and
So if I ask you, you can't use REST controller annotation. You have to manage with REST with just the controller annotation. What additionally you would have to do?
uh, so I would say like we have to mention the request request the context path or request path where it has to be mentioned. There I have to make it change. And once the controller gets landed, I have to check the context path. I have to define the context path from which the request would be landed.
Okay. You have used put mapping here for update. Why not patch?
Um, a difference of patches like so basically put will be used to make any update or changes in the existing data or any repository changes. But for sure, so both basically it's used for update, but uh, sorry, like mm, I have to just
Okay.
do it. Yeah, sorry.
Can you explain how does Spring support exceptional handling in such a way that I can have a global exception handler that can handle both specific exceptions as well as generic exceptions? What is the support for global exception handling available within Spring?
Um, let's say Spring has it has the method level annotations, I would say.
Which
Uh,
ones?
uh,
So what
let's
method
say
level annotation is there? And is that the only annotation available, or is there anything else available?
um, um, exceptions. We have some exception handler annotations available,
Hmm.
and uh, we can create custom exception class as well based on the response status. Let's say we have to give some generic response instead of giving the error. We have to give some generic response for set of requests. We can have some custom class enabled for exception handling specifically. I'm not sure about the exact annotation for global specification. It's like we have an annotation advice controller, I guess. I have not recently used it. I'm not sure. Maybe there is an annotation to handle the. As I said previously, we have to create custom classes, right? Instead of doing that way, using this advice controller annotation, I say we can handle the uh, 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 exceptions globally.
Hmm.
Yeah. Uh, and based on the response codes or HTTP response codes, we can just send the from our own response error messages for different scenarios.
Okay. Have you worked on aspect-oriented programming?
Uh, aspect oriented programming. Yeah, like we have some this mo- so you mean to say handling of logging functionalities or again it comes under the logging mechanisms or
As
the
a
handling of
programming pa-
exceptions.
as
Yeah.
a programming pattern, have you worked on aspect-oriented programming?
Yeah, basically all this exception handling or the configuring the logging comes under the accept aspect oriented programming concepts. Yeah, I have, what I am trying to explain is the comes under the aspect oriented programming concepts only.
Okay. Can you implement a custom aspect? Can you write a custom aspect? So I have a method. You can take any method here. Maybe get order you can take example of. And As part of this get order, you have to make sure that you log the entry and exit of the method. Can you write a custom aspect?
Let's say we can use the log4j dependency here to log it.
Up to you. I'm not talking about the tool. I'm just talking about the aspect oriented programming concept. How will you create a custom aspect to log the entry and exit of a method like get order?
Let's say if I will just, if there is a class.
This get order method is there. I'm asking specifically to get order. You have to add a custom aspect for this get order.
Okay. Uh, I can use the um, the annotation.
Okay. Anyways, help me understand how would you handle, or how does Spring handle resolving circular dependencies? What support is available within Spring to that helps resolve circular dependencies?
Circular dependencies. Let's say if there are so basically Spring uses the injection concepts, let's say if there are some uh, uh, initialization of object, it's a lazy injection concept where it basically 2 or 3 objects are being used. We use at AutoWare or component scenarios. Annotations. We can use that. So by using the AutoWire annotations, I would say, like we can control the dependency being used in the project, or the dependency injection would be controlled. And to be specifically explain a scenario, there are 2 objects creating. When we are using the lazy injection annotation, first it creates the object which is being used with AutoWare, and then it executes the second object. So that's how I guess it could be handled. But I have not used the annotations which I am trying. Theoretically, I am explaining, but yeah.
Okay. I have a API where I want to implement certain kind of an authorization.
Authorization. Okay.
Okay. And that authorization I have decided to use is I will intercept the incoming JWT token from the request header, and I will perform some custom validation on that. If the validation succeeds, I will let the request go through. Otherwise, I will return an error message. Where exactly should I put this logic in the context of the components that I have within Spring? And at what stage will this be executed or invoked at runtime?
Authorization. One second. Let's say we have receiving an HTTP request, and like using post construct or pre construct annotations, where we can intercept the request and log it in the security filter class or authorization filter. I mean the filter classes. That's where we can intercept and request before getting modified in the service level or any business logic level.
If I want to extend it further and I want to have some kind of a role based access control where I have predefined roles like R1, R2, R3, and then each role has a mapping that okay, R1 can invoke these APIs, R2 can invoke these API methods. How will I achieve that using Spring Security?
Um, Based on context paths from where the request is being initiated. Let's say if we have the
That's okay, but how will I implement it using Spring Security? What is the best way
um,
to have those implemented using Spring Security? Any role based access control?
using Spring Security. Based on any, let's say if there is any session being maintained or we have any, for specific users, we have a token being initiated from the front end where before the filter classes, we could intercept based on the token values or the session, the session admin users or whatever, like the sessions is being called out. Based on that, we can intercept in the filter classes itself.
Any idea what is the use of attributes pre authorized and secured?
Um, Attributes. Sorry, I just wanted to. I have to check on it.
Okay. All right. All right, Hariram, I think I'm done with my set of questions. I will be passing on the feedback to the concerned person and they will share it with you shortly.
Uh, okay. So
All right.
anything like you would like to give me as a feedback here or like
Yeah, you
how
will.
was?
Yeah, I have. Correct. I have taken note of the feedback. We will receive it shortly.
Sure. Thank you. It
All
was
right.
nice listening
Thanks
to
for
you.
your time today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks.